Hello and welcome to Sestra-Tainment. I'm Lenora.
I'm Dee, and that's Chico in the background.
Yes, Chico is in the background, so you may hear him bark, and that's okay. And yeah, we're here for Sestra-Tainment.
Yeah.
And
talking to you about everything entertainment.
Correctamundo.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and get started first this week. And I'm going to start with a show called The Instigators. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's a movie, actually. I say a show, but it's a movie. Doesn't have the greatest ratings. It has Matt Damon, Casey Affleck. I'll go through the cast in just a moment. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's showing 41% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I actually didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. It didn't feel realistic.
Is it 41% because it's like the same storyline that's been on some other stuff? It's an action.
Don't know. Yeah, it's action. I don't know if I've seen this particular storyline before, but I mean, we'll see. But anyway, so for the cast itself, as I mentioned, it has Casey Affleck, it has Matt Damon, it has Michael Schulberg, which when I think of Michael Schulberg, I now think of Your Honor. And the antagonist on Your Honor. Yeah, so he's like the mobster on there,
Yeah, and then he's also on Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, see, I don't watch that. But okay, yep, so that'll be him.
When it came out like years ago.
Yep. So you have Hung Chow. She's in here. She's on everything right now. I don't know if everybody is paying attention, but she's been in Downsizing, The Whale. She was the night agent handler.
She is on everything. I think she's
the Menu
or something
like
that.
Vietnamese.
She always does a Vietnamese accent.
She was in The Menu. She's in everything. So, yeah, you would definitely, from one of those shows, you might know exactly who we're talking about there because her name's not quite a household name yet. You have Jack Harlow. He's in here. Oh. So you got Mr. Harlow. He's hanging out as Scalvo in this movie. You have Ving Rhames. When was the last time you saw Ving Rhames?
I feel it was... something with
Pulp Fiction? No, I'm just joking.
No, I was going to say it was something with him dressed up as a woman with
Hollywood.
Woodard. Was it with Alfred Woodard?
It was something called his name was Hollywood. Yeah. You got Ron Perlman in here. You got a whole bunch of people. A lot of people know him from Hellraiser. Mm-hmm. You know him from Sons of Anarchy. All of that. Ron Perlman. You have Toby Jones. So Toby Jones is in here, and he played Capote. He has, I forgot who else he's played, but he's played a whole bunch of different people. You have Alfred Molina, and you know his face. You might not remember his name. I just remember him from the Iron Man, where he had all of those arms that would go around and fly around. Remember, he was like a spider or an octopus. I can't remember what his name was in Iron Man.
Dr. Octopus. Was Doc Ock from Spider-Man.
Was it Spider-Man?
Yes.
Oh, why did I think it was Iron Man?
No, it was Spider-Man. He was Doc Ock on Spider-Man.
Okay, yep. So that's him. He's been in a lot of things. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Frida, just a lot of different movies. And you even have the Gronk. He's in there somewhere. Yeah. I don't know. You have Gronkowski. You have it's a very powerful cast of characters. Let's put it that way. And that's why I think that brings to the storyline, just because of the fact that the acting is really good, even if the storyline isn't 100% believable. But getting into The Instigators. So it starts off with Matt Damon. He is actually there with his therapist, right? So his therapist is the lady I was mentioning, Hung Chow, and so she's Dr. Donna. Let's just call her that. So she's Dr. Donna. So anyway, so he's talking to his therapist about his suicidal ideations, and hey, I said a year from now, if things don't go my way, then this is what I'll probably do. And she was like, okay. And when you said, how long are you giving yourself? He's like, about a year. And she was like, okay, that doesn't sound good. So I need to keep my eye on you because you're sounding like you're at a breaking point, right? At the same time, he signed up to do a heist. So that's...
So he's just like, I'm not trying to be here anyway. So,
I don't know. So in this heist, he is always saying that he wants a certain amount of money. Like, he's like, I'll do the heist. All I want from it is $32,480. That's all he says.
That sounds like a ransom.
Give me whatever, however much we could get millions. I need $32,480. And you're just like, why is it $32,480? He's like, it's none of your business. So anyway, we find out later on as to what that amount particularly is for. So then this particular heist is to steal money during an election campaign from the donors. So you have this, I guess you would say, corrupt group of people who are a part of the election. Okay. And in the process of that, they're trying to steal from, they're not good people either, though, by the way, but they're trying to steal from the election contributions.
What are those people called? The lobbyists?
Yeah, I guess it's like, well, it could be just campaign contributions and things like that, right? And so basically, the donors, they've given to the campaign. So you have his character, Casey Affleck's character. So that's his brother. Yeah. You have Matt Damon's character, and you have Harlow. So they go to steal the money, and you can tell that nothing is going to go right with this from the moment that they try to get on a boat and go on the river, because it's all in Boston, Boston. And so, so basically it's like the boat doesn't really want to start. They get to the event and they assume that it wouldn't be anybody in this particular area. It was like, I don't know. It was like a whole kitchen crew was in an area. They were like, oh, we thought this part was supposed to be cleared out by now. And they're like, no, such and such was running late. So that made all of this go late. And they're like, okay, get in the freezer. Like all the kitchen people, leave your phones, put them here, get in the freezer. So every single thing that they're doing at this point is just
like
not.
Kind of a little, like a suspense comedy or action comedy type?
It's a action comedy, yes. But it's not, it has comical moments, but it's not considered a comedy. So as an example, well, I'll get to it. I'll get to another funny part. So anyway, so what ends up happening, nothing's going as planned. They end up going into another room. No, they end up where they're supposed to be to get the money out the safe, right? Because they're like, okay, we're getting all the campaign contributions out of this safe. It should be tons and tons of money. They got all their bags. They're ready. It's like, I don't know, $200. And they're just like, wait, what happened to all the money? They were like, oh, the Brinks truck already came. You just missed them like 20 minutes ago. So they already took all the money.
I thought it was going to be like, oh, it's all electronic. Like,
no. It was there, but they ended up taking it. So long story short, then they're like, okay, well, we got to get out of here. So in the process of getting out of there, who do they run into? All the corrupt politicians all hanging out in a particular room. Mm-hmm. So they're like, so Harlow's character is like, empty your pockets. And then he's trying to rob them. So that's where all the drama ensues. Okay. And this everything goes. Yeah. That's why I was surprised it was 4.1 stars, out of 10 or whatever. So anyway, what ends up happening is that Ron Perlman ends up giving up his grandfather's bracelet, right? Mm-hmm. And so, in the heist, in the stealing of everybody's stuff. And so a lot of the movie is based on Ron Perlman hiring Ving Rhames to get back that bracelet. And you don't understand the significance or importance of that bracelet until a little bit later into the movie. Okay. What I was going to say was a funny part was that at one point they actually stole the armor truck, knowing that the money was in the armor truck. It hadn't left yet. So they stole the armor truck. Oh, okay. Then they for Ben Affleck, why do I keep saying that? Matt Damon's character, I guess it's because I was talking about Ben Affleck last week. So for Matt Damon's character, he's just like, hey, we could take this truck and get out of here. Nobody will know it's us because they'll think it's the armored truck people. Like stole the money. Until Casey Affleck starts running into every single police car on the street, everything with the armor truck. And so it's like, dude, well, I guess now they know to chase the armor truck. You know what I mean? Because it's like, why didn't you just get us out of here? But there was a reason behind it, I think. But anyway, that's that. Then, of course, he pulls over really quick and, Matt Damon's like, what's going on? And he was like, well, I hear something in the back. I think there's somebody in the back. And he's like, dude, there's nobody in the back. What are you talking about? The money's probably just falling over. They just took all this money from the thing. And they were like, no, I think what they do is one person stays with the money in the truck with a gun, and then the other one goes inside, and then that way, da-da-da-da-da. So, that whole thing. Facts. So he was just like, I don't know, I don't think so. So they're outside just complaining. This fussing at each other, right? And so then all of a sudden, Matt Damon's like standing in front of the door, and he's like, all right, dude, just go and open it, like whoosh, whoosh.
Like outside? Or
yeah, he's standing outside
okay.
of the truck, like facing the truck.
Door, yeah.
And it's just like, okay, you just open the door and just go a quick whoosh, whoosh. And you know, I'll look and see, and then whatever. He's like, you're going to get blown away because the person is going to be ready.
Yeah, but then they always have a shotgun if they're in the back.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So he was like,
they have little cutout sides on the side of the trucks to
oh,
pull
I didn't even recognize that
either.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So so he was like, nah, dude, don't do it. Well, let's just say he did the whoosh whoosh. I won't tell y'all what ended up happening, if anything.
But it was a whoosh whoosh.
But it was a whoosh whoosh, and it was hilarious. Like, all this stuff was just so funny. Okay. So anyway, so yeah, it's a lot that goes on. For some reason, Casey Affleck was, I guess, like an arsonist or something. Every so often,
he would light someone on fire.
He not even want to light things on, like want to turn on a pilot light so that way things can blow up. Like, you know, like, oh, turn on a pilot light so if somebody happens to be smoking outside, then something will blow. You know, so that kind of thing. He likes to blow things up. Yeah, he likes to see exactly. Explosions. So then the other funny part to this is that, so his therapist, right?
The funny thing is, we've gone through all of this, and you say his therapist, right?
His therapist, right?
So he's over life. He's ready to do a heist, and he needs
$32,480.
And he likes blowing up things.
No, that's Casey Affleck. Oh, that's Casey. So that's Matt Damon is the one with the therapist and stuff. So anyway, something happens in which he needs to go back to his therapist, even though the police are now looking for them. They know exactly who they are. And so it's like, well, and I guess if you think about it, like, they just robbed like political figures. So, you know, there's
exactly.
that.
There's cameras everywhere.
So, yeah, exactly. So what ends up happening is, so he goes to his therapist and he was like, okay, I'm going to need your help, yada, yada. And she's like, are you in a state of crisis right now? And he was like, yeah, I'm in a state of crisis. What are you talking about? Like,
I'm worried about the police. Yeah. I so just robbed a whole bunch
and so
of people.
She is like, okay, well, I'm going to have to call the police, you know, and just turn yourself in, whatever. And he is like, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that, whatever. Casey Affleck's in the car like, is this your therapist? Like, are you in therapy? Are you trying to hurt yourself? Like, am I with somebody who is ready to die?
Yeah,
like, what's
like
going on?
You're going to drive the truck into a wall?
Like, he's just like going like that. And then the therapist, and so then he finally says, look, do what, like Matt Damon's like, look, do what I tell you to do, therapist, or I'm going to have to kidnap you. And she was like, are you saying that you're going to kidnap me?
Oh, God.
And he was like, yes, I am. She was like, no, I need you to say the words that you are going to kidnap me.
Because now that's a threat on my life, and now I
have to go with you. So that's what she was saying.
Oh,
is like,
now I have to go?
Yeah, that's the thing. So she was like, if you're trying to get me to go do something or to help you, for example, I can't help you and keep my license willingly. But if you're telling me that you are going to harm me or somebody else or yourself, then as a therapist, I have to go along with it.
Isn't she on the phone?
No, he went to her office.
Oh, he went to her office.
He went to her office. So
I thought he was talking to her on the phone while he's driving.
No, they go to her office, and so she's like standing outside talking to him, and she's just like, okay, so you're saying that
who's
you
the
have
therapist?
To say this.
Is that
that is the lady from The Menu and all those shows. So anyway, and so he was like, oh, yes, I'll have to hurt you if you don't. You know, he felt uncomfortable even saying it. Like, I will kill you.
But
if
then
you
that
don't,
adds on to your sentence.
But she is trying to help him. Well, that's the thing, right? So it's like she's trying to help him without jeopardizing her own license. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So she's like, if you're in a state of crisis, I am not going to let you hurt yourself or hurt anybody else. So I will be with you because I feel like then I can talk you down. I can help you out. So it's almost like she's so invested in him as her patient that she's just doing any and everything possible to help him out. So it's got a lot of layers, a lot of
their second movie together.
Parts. Is it? Oh.
Yeah, they were in Downsizing.
Oh, I didn't watch Downsizing.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Oh,
it was
okay.
Very, very dumb.
Well, this sounds better than that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah,
absolutely.
But anyway, I'll just leave it there. So it's funny.
I definitely want to watch it now.
Yeah, but Ving Rhames, his character is like
he's a person from Pulp Fiction.
Well, he is a person who can, from the political perspective, like the politicians, the one to call him, like, look, I need you to do what you do.
He's Ray Donovan.
So I get, but he has a badge. So he's like a person who, and he basically says this to the guy who is from Spider-Man, whatever, you know.
Doc Ock.
But yeah, Doc Ock. But anyway, he basically told him like, look, I'm a dude with a badge and I ain't got no rules. So I can do whatever the heck I want, basically. So then it's all, and I haven't even talked about how that guy is in play. I haven't talked about how the guy from Your Honor is in play. I haven't talked, so it's a lot of layers to all of this. So I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, it's
just
called
a movie.
The movie, The Instigators. It's about an hour and 45 minutes, probably an hour and 50. The Instigators on Apple TV Plus. So that's what I got, sis. What you got?
Okay, what I want to talk about is a documentary.
Okay.
And it is about boy bands.
Boy bands.
Yes.
Okay. That
and it is
doesn't
called,
sound like something you would originally migrate to.
I grew up with boy bands.
Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just me. I grew up with boy bands. Like the first boy band I remember was New Kids on the Block, and I remember that was Chantel. Shout out to Chantel.
You don't remember New Edition? First?
Because of you, yes.
I mean, that should have been
But
first.
I was also a baby.
It does not matter.
Okay, when did New Edition?
You were a baby.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
I know
you
New
should have heard
Edition.
that in the house before you heard of New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm saying that, but I never thought of New Edition or anything. You know, it's so weird. Why is it that I don't think of black people that sing together as a boy band or a girl group? But when I see white people that sing together, I think it's a boy band or a girl group.
I have no idea. But I will say, New Kids on the Block and all of them.
Of hits, Chinese food makes me sick. Sorry, that's another song.
Okay. I will say that the groups like New Kids on the Block pay complete homage to New Edition and say, hey, it would not be us without
That's why they were on concert together.
Yeah, exactly. So they know where it
bumping
originated.
and grinding in the air to a whole bunch of
they would New
40,
Edition was
50,
a boy band.
60-year-old fangirls. I love it.
I mean, but I get it because you wouldn't think of the Jackson 5 as a boy band either.
No, I
so,
wouldn't.
I mean, I get it. But that was like a family, so maybe that's different. I don't know. Hanson. Is Hanson a boy band? Aren't they all brothers? The Jonas Brothers? Are they a boy band? So,
it's a boy band.
All right, continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack.
But no, you're good. So what this is it is called Dirty Pop, the boy band scam.
Okay.
All right. Now you can catch this on Netflix. So Dirty Pop is about a boy band creator from the late 90s, early 2000s. Okay. His name is Lou Pearlman. Now he was a businessman. He had multiple businesses. So he went into aviation in college. So from there he had some planes, he had some blimps. And with his blimps, he was getting like McDonald's to sponsor his blimps and stuff like that. So like he had like maybe 3 blimps.
That's an interesting shift.
This is how he gets into it. Okay. So he goes from aviation in college to him having planes, and then New Kids on the Block is renting his planes all the time to fly all over the country. He's like, who's New Kids on the Block?
Yeah, who are these kids? I don't
understand who these people are. And then when he sees that they have enough money to rent his plane for months at a time, he's like, oh, cha-ching, I need a boy band. Mm-hmm. So from there, what he does is he puts all his money into making boy bands. And so once he sees New Kids on the Block doing their thing, girls are going crazy over them. Yeah. On the tarmac of all places.
Of
like,
course.
Oh my God, Big Dad, I love you so much.
Yeah.
Donnie. But anyway, that's what makes him think, okay, I need to get some boys together and make a boy group because then that will give me more residual income than what I already have. Because I have McDonald's doing my blimp. I have another company doing my blimp. He had 2 or 3 companies doing his blimps. Okay. And then he had planes and jets that he was renting out to people with money. Okay. So from there, he ended up meeting with, oh God, which one of the, I thought I had it, but I don't have it. Howie, I think, from Backstreet Boys. He ends up meeting one of the Backstreet Boys and was like, yo, boom, I'm trying to make this boy group. You trying to be in? And it's like, yeah. And I know some people who I work with and some other people that I know and this, blah, blah, blah. So then they had most of the voices except for one. So they got Kevin, who's the one that looks like Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
They got him to come in and but he's older than the rest of them.
Okay.
So he was like, yeah, I'll do that, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So it talks about how he ended up getting them, how he takes them all around. He's like, I have a plane, so what we're going to do is we're going to take my plane and we're going to go to a whole bunch of different high schools, and you're going to sing for a whole bunch of different kids.
And then you get the girls liking you, wanting your music, all of that. Okay.
Bump and grind, like air hump, the like in front of the little college, high school, college girls. Oh my goodness. Whatever. But they said they were everywhere. They said they were at middle schools, elementary schools, high schools.
And they're talking to the guys from the Backstreet Boys in this documentary.
Yes. Okay. So they're talking about all of this, and they're talking about how.
But you know, I'm sorry to interrupt, but back then that's what people did, right? Because you would have people like Tiffany or people like, you know.
Who's Tiffany?
Tiffany? I think we're alone now.
I did not know that was Tiffany. I thought that was going to be Cindy Crawford.
No.
Cindy,
but anyway,
Cindy,
they used to, Cyndi Lauper?
Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, no. But they used to go around to malls and sing back in the day. Like, I mean, but that's what they would do. They would just set up a stage in a mall, and because all the teens were at the mall, they would just say, I don't know, Britney Spears, whoever, just go to the mall and sing there. And so for them doing that, I could see that would happen for sure.
So they said they sung at malls. They said that Lou was like introducing them to people with a lot of money and was like, hey, come over here really quick, guys. Y'all go ahead and sing. But he had them practice so much that he was like, I need you. Like, if he heard them flat, he'd be like, no, I need you to be able to sing no matter where we are at. If you were laying upside down, you need to be able to sing and be all on key. So, but he was... Yes,
in her acrobatics.
There you go. Yeah. But it's like that, and I get why he's saying that, because he's introducing them to so many people with money to put into
the group.
To the group. So, well, not only the group, but the company, the Transcontinental company that was Transcontinental Aviation, Transcontinental Blimps, Transcontinental Records, Transcontinental LLC.
Oh, okay.
Lots of Transcontinentals, a lot of Peters to pay Paul, and Paul to pay Peter. A lot of that. So, with that, what they were doing was like, we were like all over the place. And it was like, we would be at a birthday party and be like, hey, come over here, you sing for them. And it was like, we did that. And then next thing you know, now we have caviar, we have steak, we have blah, 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 blah. He was like, we're driving to a studio. He's like, we're 16, driving to a studio in a stretch limo, going and having like shrimp cocktail, and then going to record, and then but they don't realize that what Lou is doing is he's funding it all, and then at the back end he's
going to get his money back.
But they're all kids, and they don't
realize that they're going to be broke like TLC at the end of all of this.
But then also their parents don't really realize it, because they're all like young kids, like their parents are people who from rural areas, or like people who are so adamant about their kids being successful in the music industry or whatever.
Yeah, so they're pushing it, but they're not realizing that
what the detriment is going to be. Yes. So they talk about the Backstreet Boys. Now, while the Backstreet Boys are out on tour, what does Lou do? Hey, I want you to come with me. I need to talk to you. I'm trying to put another group together, like the Backstreet Boys, but it's going to be a little competition back and forth. How many guys do you know that we can get together? I want like 4 or 5 guys. And then dude was like, oh yeah, I can get some people. I know some people who work on the Disney Mickey Mouse Club, stuff like that. I can get them to go ahead. Yeah. Now we have NSYNC.
Yeah, Justin
So while
Timberlake.
the Backstreet Boys are in Australia, they're like big in Australia. They come home
and realize their
guy. That's like, who is NSYNC?
Has started a whole new group.
A whole another group. Now, with that, now he's blowing up NSYNC and doing the same things. Then he has Aaron Carter with him. He has O-Town. He has 98 Degrees. He has LFO. He has Take 5. He has Brooke Hogan, Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her.
Remember, she sung like for a week.
Yeah.
He has B4B.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, no. Innocence.
Never.
Yeah, well, Britney Spears was actually in the group Innocence when she was younger. Yeah, so it was like after she went from the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, she went to Innocence.
Then when she was like a preteen to like teenager, whatever. While she was about to do the mall stuff. Okay, that's when she was with Innocence. And then a band called Natural. So
he really has influenced 90s pop.
Yeah, 90s to the early 2000s.
To the early 2000s.
It's all
from the 99s to the 2000s.
Exactly. It's all Lou Pearlman. But this is the thing. Lou ended up getting in trouble for insurance fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and falsifying statements.
Oh.
How does he do that? Because he was robbing Peter to pay Paul. He has
robbing Peter and Paul to pay Bartholomew.
What? He's robbing Peter, Paul, and Bartholomew to go ahead and give Judas his little 40 shillings.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, he's buying jets and he's buying homes.
No. He's not buying jets anymore.
Anything?
He's not buying jets anymore. He is living the lavish life. He's showing them the lavish life.
Yeah.
But he was taking them in and was like, oh, you don't have anywhere to stay? Stay at my house. You can just rent from me, blah, blah, blah.
But that you're not giving them anything.
No, he's
not paying them.
But he's showing them this. He's showing them the moon and the stars.
Yeah, this
and
is
they
possible.
Are still
Don't
standing
you want
on
this
Earth,
life? Yeah.
Just looking like,
but that's everybody. When you think of how many people were taken advantage of in the 80s and 90s from their producers, from the advertisers, the marketers, the whoever, their managers. Like New Edition has the exact same story of them. Like we are out here. Hundreds of thousands of people screaming, yelling for us, and we go back home to the projects.
Yes.
And we can't get our family out of the projects.
Yep.
We don't have the money. TLC said it famously.
Yeah, they said it with the Grammy in their hands.
If you want to know the real deal.
Yeah, if you want to know the real deal, we ain't got no money. We can't eat. We are living off of ramen noodles. Like, they don't want to pay us like we should. How we got the top stuff and we ain't got no money. Yeah.
Exactly. So
it's all about the advance. So that's why a lot of people are saying, yo, you never take the advance. You take the back end.
Yes.
Take the back end.
Mm-hmm. That's how Oprah got all of her money too, by the way. So what Oprah did is what she said is that I don't want you to pay me a salary. I want the money from my show and the royalties. Forget giving me something on the front end. Like, I want the benefit of the production and being the executive producer and doing those types of things, so that because I believe in myself to know and have it grow. Same person, another person who did that, which is interesting, is the guy who is on The Chi now, but he did Simba when he was younger. Oh my gosh, the guy from The Chi that got out of jail. And he was with the girl, and then, oh my gosh, what is his name? Anyway, he played Simba. I'm going to have to look him up.
Luke James.
Yes, I think,
the singer? The one who's the singer?
Not the singer, the other one, the dark-skinned guy with the mustache. He's funny. He's hilarious. Okay, hold on.
The one from wasn't he on Sister Act?
Maybe. Yeah, he could have been.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, don't pay me to be Simba. I want the money, the royalties, the cash from being Simba, because I know this movie is going to do great. And so I'm looking up his name right now. It's Jason Weaver. Jason Weaver.
So the same guy I was thinking about?
Yeah, it's the guy right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and he actually said, no, I'm going to do that. And he was like, I really wouldn't have to, do anything. He said he turned down a $2 million one-time payment, which when you are a kid,
that's
and your parents can control.
Kid. And this economy, if you were an adult and somebody said, I'll give you $2 million.
Right. Exactly. So what he did is his mother negotiated the deal for just give me $100,000 up front and all the royalties. That's what she wanted. And so based on that, he ended up making, I'll have to look it up. But anyway.
Either way, black women are amazing, especially when it comes to their kids, because let's look at what Michael Jordan's mom did for him.
Right, exactly.
For her to be like, he don't want no money from these shoes, but what he's going to do is he's going to get money from the shoes on the back end. He wants his name all over it. He wants the endorsements. He wants this and this and that. And
I mean, that's amazing, right? So anyway, he ended up making more money, almost double, I think, initially from just that. And then plus he's still going to make the royalties every time something plays of the Lion King.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can literally make...
Just from me singing, I just can't wait to be
Exactly.
king.
So even if he made $400,000 or $100,000 a year for the rest of his life from just the royalties of the Lion King. Hello?
Disney is paying.
So anyway, I just say that to say... Everything that glitters isn't gold, and seeing all that money on the front end, it's like being a writer of a book. And they say, oh, we're going to pay you in advance for your copies, but we're assuming you're going to sell 100,000. If you don't sell
50,
then you owe them all that money back.
Where's our money?
Yeah. Nobody's giving anything for free.
Don't worry. We'll knock off the money for that 50,000 that you went ahead and sold.
Oh, my gosh.
But the rest,
So anyway.
Yeah. So that is what he was doing, was falsifying information and stuff like that. So, but all the boy bands have different experience, and they're all divided when it comes to being with Lou or being not with Lou. Some of them liked him, some of them hated him. But what he did do was he kept robbing Peter to Paul, like I said, but he wasn't completely upfront with the guys. Yeah. He never withheld anything from them as far as money. He gave them anything and everything. Never withheld anything from them.
You mean in regards to the money they earned?
Yes.
Okay.
But so when they were like, hey, where's our money for this and this and that? And then it's like, well, you got this, you got that, blah, 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 blah. Like this.
Oh, so it might have went to something else, but he didn't pocket it.
No, he did not pocket the money. He did not pocket the money.
Okay.
But then later on, once he had all of the rest, well, I want to say with some of the newer groups, he didn't pocket the money. But once he got more groups in, as other groups started to break up, that's when he started to pocket some of the money. He had a lot of investors that he would be like, okay, you give me $100,000 and I'll give you $500,000 on the back end, blah, 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 blah. And then there are some of them that are still after him because he still hasn't paid him. Bro, the brother's dead and gone.
Oh, he's died?
He's gone. Oh, but his money's, like, there's a lump sum of his money that's still missing. That is not accounted for. It's probably in the Cayman Islands.
Maybe.
If anybody's over there, go ahead and see if you can find it. Mm-hmm. But that's
Swiss bank accounts.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Anywhere that they have some taxation and what's the other thing called? I don't know what it's called when you can't, like when they can't.
Oh, no extradition charges.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So that's what that is about, and it's called Dirty Pop. Dirty Pop.
What was it on again?
It's on Netflix, so it's called Dirty Pop: The Boy Band Scam. But I mean, this dude was smart and dumb at the same time. It does have some stuff where people who have known him for a long time talk great about him. Some people who have known him for a long time talk crap about him. It is also a lot of people who hate him because of the fact that they've had family members that have that are no longer alive because of him.
Oh gosh!
Because of the stress that he's put on their lives. So
goodness.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great documentary to watch. I think it's 3 or 4 parts. They're like an hour and some change a piece.
I had no idea that there was one person behind all of that.
I didn't either.
I was today years old.
I thought it was just Diddy with making the band.
No, I think it was bigger than that. But I guess I just thought that it was one of those things, almost like it was like New Edition, and then you had New Kids on the Block, and I'm just thinking, oh, somebody saw a group and then said, oh, we can do that on this side and make something that's more like, yeah, you know, kind of thing. And then somebody else said, oh, if they're doing it, then I'm going to do it. And then blah, 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 blah. You know, it's kind of like how Teddy Riley, you know, came out with the New Jack Swing and his kind of style of stuff. And then you had Michael Bivins, who came out with the Motown Swing, you know, Motown Philly and all that kind of stuff. So it was like, oh, we're going to do this over here, but you can do that over there, you know? Mm-hmm.
Remember ABC?
Yeah, because you had ABC, you had
what was the other kids,
Silk. You had...
What was the other kids band, though, that was like ABC?
Well, I was getting ready to say Crisscross, because they were a younger group, too. Yeah, but there's a whole Soul for Real. You have a ton of different young kid groups that all came out. Aisha.
Exactly, So, yeah, it's always stuff like that, but it just to
know one guy handled all that. It must have made millions.
You know what it was? You know what I'm thinking about? What it was? It was a lot of black bands, like boy bands. Mm-hmm. Technically, a lot of.
You mean like Jagged Edge and?
But no, I'm not saying like Jagged Edge. But I'm just saying in general, it was a lot of black groups that were together. There was not a lot of white groups that were together that were males.
You mean before that time?
Yeah, before that time.
Oh, before that. I don't know if that's true.
Who else was new besides New Kids on the Block?
No, but I mean, it depends on. I guess if you're talking about the age range. No, I mean, you had Aerosmith, you had Van Halen, you had a bunch of groups that
those
were
are rock bands.
But you were saying that more like pop. Yeah, so that's what you're talking about. Okay, that's where I was like, no, there were groups, but they weren't necessarily that type of group.
Yeah, they are not. So like, you can't say that Van Halen or Aerosmith or anything is going to have dance movements.
No, they're not going to have that.
And so that's what I'm saying. It was
But that's because of New Edition too. Because New Edition was the ones that started with all those movements.
I'm not even going to say New Edition. I'm going to go
the Jackson 5 had that too.
No, I'm going to go even further. I'm going to say the Temptations.
Yeah, the Temptations.
Smile so bright. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I see what you mean. So, it was a gap in the music paradox.
Yeah. And
it was found that and was like, hey,
this is a group together that they do not play instruments, but they can sing their tails off. Which you didn't have a lot of that when it came to any other band besides Black. Well,
so New Kids on the Block, he wasn't their manager.
No, he wasn't.
He just took the idea of them and created a ton of other competition against them, basically.
Yes.
And against his own bands. Right. Okay. So it was just the fact that they were using his jets that got him started. So if it wasn't for New Kids on the Block using his jets, there would have never been an NSYNC.
There would be no NSYNC. There would be no Backstreet Boys. No 98 Degrees. No O-Town.
No Britney.
No. Britney would still be out there because Britney was only in a group for a second, but she still wanted to be her own artist.
So she was going to be there.
So she was going to be a solo artist.
Christina Aguilera was in that Disney World too, but I don't think she was involved with him.
Yeah, but she always wanted to be a solo artist. So it's like the difference between solo artists and people who are just like, oh, we just want to be famous, so we want to get together.
Yeah, sign me up. Right.
Like, I can sing. He got this one. I got this one.
Well, it's kind of like that whole thing that happened too with Salt and Pepper Salt and Pepper and Chris. I was going to say Criss Cross, but Kid and Play and Martin. They were all working in like a Sears call center together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
And then all of a sudden, it was like one person got something. They were like, "Okay, my friends, I got this person. You can, my girl Sandy over here. She can rap."
That's literally how the bands got together. It's like, "Yo, I know this kid who's on Mickey Mouse Club. I think his name is Justin.
Yeah, exactly.
He sings really good. He sings with this guy named Ryan.
Yep.
But I don't think Ryan wants to do that. I think Ryan wants to act more than singing.
Yep. Exactly.
Because
that's why
Ryan
you
Gosling and JC Chazé and. It was like maybe 4 or 5 kids that own the Mickey Mouse Club that are actually actors now who are successful in either being acting or singing careers. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, when you think about it, that brought out a whole lot of people.
Would have never even thought about Ryan Gosling singing until La La Land.
Oh, yeah, he did in La La Land, and he did in Barbie.
Yeah, well, I don't really count that. but like, he actually, like, on the Disney Club, the Mickey Mouse Club, him and JC Chazé and I think Justin Timberlake ended up singing a Boyz II Men song. Mm-hmm. Or, no, a New Edition song.
A New Edition song, yeah. And so, and it shows you also that even from a young age, some of these folks that you might only know from one layer, they actually had, like, they could have been triple threats in regards to singing and dancing and, some people play instruments too. You might not even know
Gosling
about it.
Could be a triple threat right now.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'd rather act.
I'd just rather act. I'm good with it. So, all right, cool.
But it served
him well. It served him well.
What do you have next?
All right, excellent. Well, I have, oh gosh, let's see. I think I'm going to talk about, I have a couple of things to talk about, but I think what I'm going to talk about is the Jerrod Carmichael show. And the reason is that I didn't know who Jerrod Carmichael was until he had a show on NBC, right? And I looked at it a little bit and I was like, oh, he's kind of, seems like a nice guy, kind of funny. Like, I'm surprised he was never on. Well, I'd say kind of, because me, I don't laugh at anything. Yeah. But I was like kind of funny, but surprised he wasn't on SNL because it's that kind of humor, kind of stuff. So I was just like,
he's sketchy comedy.
Yes,
he's good with sketches.
Exactly.
But stand up, not so much because we already saw that on the Oscars.
I forgot. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot that he was garbage on there. Yeah, they just booed him off the stage, basically. So anyway, I happened to
Sims in the chair to come and
I know, with his cane and rip him right off the stage. Yeah. And so I happened to be watching Tamron Hall, and she was interviewing him, and it was interesting because as I'm watching her show, she's like, oh, it's Jerrod Carmichael, and, he is a, comedian and writer and a producer and blah, 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 blah. And she was like, and, a lot of controversy around him. And I'm like, the nice guy who was on NBC?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I was like, I didn't know all of this, right? So I'm like, oh, the nice guy on NBC. Okay, wow, controversy. What? And like, okay. And they said, yeah, he's the villain of his own reality show. And I said, the villain? Oh, I got to check this out. So I start watching. I'm not even through the first season anyway, but I
didn't get past the first episode.
Yeah. I started watching his reality show. And all I can say is that if you are the type of person who does not mind cringe-worthy television, this is the show for you. Yeah. It is so cringy. It is so awkward. It is so uncomfortable to watch. And I'm trying. I'm going to see how far I can get with it. But those kind of things just make me feel uncomfortable. It's like me not wanting to watch certain things on television, like a debate. I don't want to watch a debate. I feel like if I already know who I'm going to vote for, I don't need to watch a debate because it's cringy to me because it's like.
I just don't want to hear people arguing back and
forth.
But
it's like, you talk yours and I talk about, and then you're going to say something and somebody could mess up something and then this happens and then that happens. And I just feel like, oh my God, like it's anxiety inducing to me. I just can't get with it. So anyway. All I can say is maybe in the first 5 minutes, he's sucking somebody's toes on a couch.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
His grinder date.
Yes, his grinder date that he just met.
Just met. Yeah.
Just met.
Also, Jerrod Carmichael is in LGBTQI.
He's LGBTQI, which I didn't know when the Carmichael show was on because I don't know if he came out then.
No, I think he came out after and I think that's why he ended up being on the Oscars.
Maybe. And so he came out after that. So he did say he was in his 30s before he came out, and now he's making up for lost time because he's like, well, now I'm out. I got to sleep with everybody. Like thousands and thousands and thousands of people, please. Here I am. So therefore, he actually is always on Grindr. He's always on these apps. He's always, trying to check everything out. And, oh, you got abs? Okay, I don't need to see a face. Just show up at my house.
Yeah.
And then he's inviting people to his house, which I'm like, if you are a famous person, do you invite people to your house? Like
maybe.
Funny enough.
He's not that famous.
Well, yeah, true. Facts. But one of the things is that he said, so he invited somebody over. The guy ended up staying. So then the next morning, the guy was funny. I said, oh, you made a comedian laugh, so this was funny. Actually, the guy was funnier than I think Jerrod Carmichael is. No, the guy with the mask is hilarious too. Okay. But anyway, no, this guy was somebody that he had saw on Grindr. He invited him over. They hooked up. The next morning, they're eating breakfast. And Jerrod's like, yeah, I'm going to remember you. Like, this was memorable. And he told him why it was memorable. Oh, and I like your face. Like, I'll remember you. Because, I guess you have so many people that you've been with. You might not remember them all, right?
Well, gay men is a whole different aspect.
It's a whole thing. So anyway, and I mean, it's fine.
I mean, it's like, 3 hours of eye contact, we're getting it in.
Right.
And then don't talk to me ever again. When you see me in public, you walk the other way.
That is, okay. Hey, I am not as familiar. I am learning about that as I'm watching his show, actually. Yeah. So therefore, because one episode, he met the guy's at his house, they're talking, and he's like, oh, all I saw was your abs. And he was like, yeah, he said, well, my abs aren't the same as that now. It's been about a month. That picture's from a month ago. So my abs aren't that. He's like, well, let me see. So then he lifts his shirt. He shows his abs. The other one shows his abs. And they're like, oh, yeah, your abs look great. And then they start kissing. Like, it wasn't even a conversation. Like, oh, we just talked about abs. Okay, let's get busy kind of situation.
Queer as Folk, your show that you used to watch.
I used to love Queer as Folk. It's a real thing. Oh, that was my jam. L-word in the beginning. Then I got off of that. But anyway, so long story short, this guy, he says it was funny because he was like, yeah, he said, I never, because like I said, Jerrod was like, yeah, I'll remember you. And he said, well, you know what I'm going to remember? I don't think I've ever had sex with somebody. And then somebody said the next morning, well, the camera crew's coming. So,
exactly.
He said, so you can decide if you want to stay or if you want to leave, but the camera crew's coming and you'll be a part of a documentary. And he stayed. He stayed because Jerrod was trying to pick out something for the Emmys because he was being nominated.
Too. That's my face being on TV.
On TV, right?
And now my Grindr's going to blow up even more.
They'd be like, you were with Jerrod? Okay, let's go. So anyway, even though he's not that famous. So anyway, it's crazy because like he is showing everything. He's showing him like scrolling through men on Grindr. He's showing him, like I said, sucking guys' toes on the couch. He's showing that, in any given week he could have 3, 4, 5, guys come over. It's his assistant. They're showing her. She's hilarious. Like she will go to the strip club and have more fun at the gay strip club than he does. He's just sitting there and she's just like throwing dollars down the G-strings and dancing and just like having a ball. You have where he talks about his relationship with his mom, who he says, I just feel like if my mom leaves me a voicemail for more than 20 seconds, it's because she got Leviticus in her hands. Like, you know, he's just like, you know, because she's, you know, very religious and spiritual and thinks that, you know, he's going to go to hell and all that kind of stuff. So he doesn't really talk to his mom. So he even is like tormented to try to call her. Like his assistant, who's one of his best friends, was like, well, call your mom and see if she wants to go with you to the Emmys.
No, thank you.
And he was just like, he just busted out laughing. And then she was like, I'm being serious. Like, I love you. I love your mom. And you're not even trying to talk to her. And he's like, well, she's not trying to talk to me. So it's that whole thing. So it's, I can see why he's the villain of his own show, because number one, he texts his best friend, his male best friend, and says, look, I'm starting to have feelings for you. I just want to let you know. And you could see him like tormenting, just like, should I start it like this? Should I do it like this?
His best friend is, right?
I saw him on there.
So you don't know who he is?
I don't know who he is.
He is a rapper.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Didn't know that. He just said, I knew he,
I
knew he was
Tyler,
rich.
the Creator.
Oh, Tyler, the Creator is his best friend. Okay. Got it. So anyway.
And Tyler is rude.
Oh.
Oh, wait, you're being serious about this.
His exact response was, you a silly bitch. That's what he said, or something like that. And that was it. So then he got offended because he was like, I'm trying to be honest with you and you blow me off. Then you stop really talking to me. And then I asked you if you want to come to the Emmys just to kind of smooth things over. And then you don't answer that text. Yeah. And then we finally talk after the Emmys. No, he did text him before that and said, nah, man, I got something else to do. And then that was where Jerrod, he does a lot of things where he's doing stand-up during the series. So it's like he's talking about his real life and his experiences while doing stand-up. And he's like, you know, rich people aren't that busy. He was like, they're busy. They got things going on. But a lot of times, he said, Julia Roberts just sitting on the couch at home. Like, she ain't that busy. And he said, and this person that I'm talking about is rich. So therefore, to not go to the Emmys, I don't know if they're not busy. I mean, that busy to have to go, like they couldn't go. But you know, whatever. So I was like, I don't know. I never been rich.
Calls, you gotta answer.
I don't know. So
you better answer.
And so they do show the two of them finally have a conversation. Awkward.
Yeah, very.
Awkward is like the main word. It was crazy.
It was awkward with close-ups.
It was very. And the thing is what I've realized about Jerrod, again, with him being the villain of his own show, is that he expects grace and mercy and understanding from other people, but I don't see him giving grace, mercy, and, you know, that kind of respect from other people. So, for example, his best friend invites him to a wedding to be a part of it. His best friend says, go to Men's Warehouse and get your rental. He's like, I'm not wearing Men's rented Vera Wang. I'm going to wear my Tom Ford, like, period, point blank. Like, that's what I do, you know? And it's like, it's your best friend's wedding. Like, stop being bougie. Stop doing, do what you need to do. So he shows up and his best friend's like, where's the black shirt? He said, they didn't give me a black shirt. He's like, because you don't have on the outfit, you don't have on the shoes, you don't have on the shirt, whatever. He goes to get it at the mall to get a black shirt. I'm supposed to wear this. It's not even sized. You know, he's just so like arrogant and horrible. And so then,
he's a queen.
Guess what? He decides 10 minutes before the wedding's going to start, I think I want a hot dog. So he stops. He gets a hot dog. And an hour after the wedding starts, he pulls up at the wedding. And then he's like, oh, I missed it.
I wonder if he's really like this or if he's doing this for the documentary.
I have no idea. No, I think he's like this. Because what I've come to realize in watching the little bit that I've watched, and then he's in the pictures at the reception part, or, you know, after the wedding, and he's got on a white shirt. He still didn't buy the black shirt. So he's standing out from everybody in the wedding to the point that on stage, he's like, yeah, I ain't talked to him since. I guess not.
I would have told you to leave the wedding.
I wouldn't have even had you in the pictures.
Bro, no. You're not coming inside the wedding, bro.
Well, I mean,
I told you what to wear. I picked it out and everything.
Well, the wedding was probably going on as he was walking in, so therefore, I mean, he didn't walk all the way up to the front, but
That's what ushers are
So
for.
I was just like, man, he's like, yeah, you know, I messed it up. And then somebody in the crowd literally yelled, "You're probably not a good friend."
Bam.
And he just sat there. And he didn't say anything.
Yeah, because he knows he's not a good friend.
Right, exactly. And so then you have another scenario where he has a boyfriend for the first time in his life. Okay. And so he's very excited. Oh, I've never been able to say a boyfriend. I have a boyfriend. Cheated on him. Of course. So then he cheats on him. And he ends up telling the boyfriend. And then he cheats on him again. And he ends up
what's
telling
the
the
point of having the
boyfriend.
boyfriend if
Right.
you're just gonna
And the
cheat on him?
boyfriend is like, I mean, it's a gay relationship. So he's like, I don't even care about the sexual part of it. All I care about is you being honest. Like, I'm in Iowa. You're in wherever he is.
Yeah.
So he's like, yes, you fly me out. You know, we hang out. We're a couple. I'm thinking we're monogamous. I told you that's what I need is monogamy. And yet every time I'm away from you, you seem to want to cheat.
Whore.
Like, and so based on that, you know, they're going through therapy. It's like all these things. And the guy is just so nice. But Jerrod, and then he lies to his face in therapy to the point that he's sitting in therapy and the lady, the therapist is like, so, you know, he wants monogamous, you know, how do you feel about that? And he was like, I honestly don't even have time to cheat. Like, you know, it's like this and that. And so I'm looking at it like, dude, you just had a room. No, he'd already cheated twice.
That's what I'm saying.
But they're going through therapy after that.
Okay.
And then we're watching before this next therapy session or this therapy session that a guy had just left his house.
But see,
his place.
It's like you can't say you don't have time.
No, but
you're steadily doing it.
But what I'm trying to say is that he's lying to his boyfriend's face in therapy saying, I don't have the time to do it. No, monogamy is going well for me right now. Da 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 da. And the whole time I'm looking at it like, wait a minute. Didn't he just have a guy leave? Like, that's what I'm thinking to myself. Okay. But he's lying
so they went
in front
to
of all of this.
Before he told his boyfriend?
No.
Okay.
He cheated twice.
Okay, yeah. And then
they went to therapy. In between him cheating twice, his boyfriend going to Iowa, he cheated a third time. He goes to therapy and says, monogamy's working great for me. I have not had a time to cheat. And all of this. So I'm sitting there like, wait, you had a third time you haven't told him about yet.
Exactly.
So how are you sitting on this couch saying that this is fine?
But then it's like, this is going to be on national television.
And then what ends up happening is come to find out later, because I'm like, maybe I missed something. Maybe I got the dates confused, you know, in my brain. And maybe that was the second time, but I thought it was the third. But then the boyfriend, he talks to the camera later and he says, you know, when he was sitting on that couch and lying to my face, that's when I knew that this was over, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, he knew he was lying. How did he know he was lying? And he said, because when Jerrod said, I don't have time to cheat, and the cameraman looked like he wanted to get in his face and be like, dude, you a lie. This guy's nice to you. Yeah. And you are up here trying to do X,
that
Y.
cameraman just got fired. God.
So he was sitting there staring at Jerrod, seeing the cameraman from the side recording it and knowing that when the cameraman's reaction to what Jerrod was saying, he said, I knew the camera people knew something that I didn't know. So he said, then it was like, yeah, it has to be over. Now, does he stay over with them or not? Who's to say? But anyway, but it's so many cringy things. It's times where he is literally like in another episode further down, he's talking to his father and he's just like his father, who is just a quiet, reserved, you know, Christian man, whatever. And he's like, yeah, well, you got bears. Then you got otters. So the bears kind of are the guys that are like this. And then the otters are the kinds of the guys that are like that. And he's explaining it to his father. But it's almost like these are the kind of guys I've been with. And he's just listing out everything. You got a twink. You got a twonk. You got this. You got that. And he's like walking through the whole list of things. And his father's just sitting there driving a truck. And he's just like, I don't want to hear this. This is too much. I can't. And then it's uncomfortable silence. And then he was like, well, in between a bear and and you're just like, oh my God. So it's kind of funny. Like when I watched it, I cracked up because I was like, this is the worst thing for your father. So then,
but that's what I'm saying. I feel like he's doing this stuff to
some of it, I think he does on purpose, which Tamron Hall asked him about. She was like, so you did this reality show. Do you feel proud of this? And he was like, it's been painful. I know I'm the villain of my own, you know, reality show, all these things. However, for me, it's been therapeutic and everything's out there now. I'm an open book. There's nothing that my mom, my cousins, my dad, anybody can ask me about that they don't already know because they actually watched it. But she said, I don't believe that you're happier now because you still don't have the acceptance that you had wanted all along.
That's right. See?
So therefore she was like, you know, is this real? Like you and your mom still aren't talking? And he was like, yeah, pretty much. Like she can call me. Yeah, hey mom, I know you're watching Tamara Hall, call me, kind of thing. And it's like, you're just a jerk to be a jerk in a way. So I don't think this series did him any favors, but like I said, I'm trying to get through it, but there's some really weird, cringy, strange things. Oh, and the guy with the mask. So one of his friends just will not come on camera. So he comes in with like a dominatrix black mask all over his head. Like you're going to see a little red ball in his mouth or something at some point. But he comes in, he goes with them to the Emmys. He comes to the door dressed in his suit, but he has that over his head because he's like, y'all are not putting me on blast.
I know, that's right.
Ain't nobody going to know who I am as your friend. But he'll come in, he'll hug him, he'll talk, whatever. You know, I don't think they're in a relationship at all. I think it's truly a friend, but that friend is like, your business is not going to be my business. So anyway, that is it. The Jerrod Carmichael reality show is basically the name. It's on HBO Max. So what you got, sis?
All right. So what I want to talk about is Dr. Bryant, who is the therapist on Love and Basketball.
Oh, okay.
She actually went and talked to the two men that have a lot of kids that are celebrities.
Oh, okay.
So she went to Cam Newton's podcast and she went to Nick Cannon's podcast.
Oh.
And she breaks them down, but I've noticed that not alpha males are like, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
Beta males are like, who is she coming at? Like, blah, 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 blah. Bruh, stay in your place. You're a beta. You follow. Alphas lead. Okay, so therefore, you follow what the alphas is doing. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So this is some of the things that they talked about. I just want to do a really quick clip so you can hear this, and then we'll talk about it because we only have a few minutes left.
No, it's
so here we go. This is the podcast. It's talking about broken homes and Cam Newton having 8 kids.
I did not know he had that many.
High function.
What situation?
See, my situation, that's a very vague question, and this for you.
What situation are you referring to that they're looking at and thinking is not high function?
Just my life.
Your life entirely, or your life in relationships?
My life.
See, don't deflect. Let's stay here. Your life entirely, or your life in relationships?
Both, really.
And they think that you're low functioning.
No, I don't.
You just said people see your life and think you're not high functioning. The opposite of that would be low functioning.
No. Okay, so here you go. You're trying to take my intentions away from this. Is can I correct it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or can I give you more?
Yeah, some more information. Heck yeah.
So, I'm not married, right? I have beautiful children.
How many?
8.
I didn't do my research. I thought it was 4, but 8. Okay.
No, baby.
Cool.
It's
by how
8.
many women?
3. And this is the kicker. I want more. Now.
By multiple women? What's the intent of just saying by your wife?
I just want God to bring them.
Oh, okay. And you have, so you just...
Because my point is this. My desire to get married is lower than my fear of divorce. So, as you would say it, Dr. Bryant, you said it, I didn't say it, I will agree. I'm just taking my time. Drinking and driving is a
So let me just tell you, he ain't taking his time. Okay. So it's more into this. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. But when she's talking about high functioning,
I feel like we're gonna have to continue this next time because I want to know more about this situation.
Okay, well, I mean, I can go ahead and touch on it again.
Touch on it again next
basically,
episode.
what Dr. Bryant was telling Cam Newton and telling Nick Cannon, because Nick Cannon has like 75 kids. And
how many is it? 11?
I think it's 11 or 12.
Okay.
So with what she was telling them, she was like, basically, you're creating broken homes. And this is how you're creating broken homes. Because all of your 8 kids can't have daddy at the same time. When they're with this mommy, and this mommy.
100%, right.
So therefore, you're creating a broken home to the stigma where your kids are going to always be missing out. They're always going to feel left out. I don't have dad here. So she's trying to explain that to him. And he was like, but I mean, I love my kids and blah, 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 blah. And she was like, but I understand what you're saying.
Right.
But you are being selfish, putting yourself in what you want.
Ahead of your kids.
Ahead of what your kids actually need to survive, to be able to have a successful life.
Right.
She says the same thing to Nick Cannon, and Nick Cannon, you can see the uncomfortability in Nick Cannon because he starts joking and laughing and saying all this other stuff, like trying to deflect. Yeah. But she's just like, but no, listen.
So which one is the alpha and which one is the beta, do you think? Or are both of them betas?
Both of them are betas.
Okay. I mean, that's why I was checking.
Both of them are betas, but they act like they're alphas. And you know what? Let me tell you about this fool Nick Cannon, because I'll go into it next week. But Nick Cannon said, yes, I'll manipulate. I'm a master manipulator. I'll tell a woman that I'm into church, meet her at church, take her to church. He's like, but then once I smash and I'll dip out, and then they're going to be like, oh, he's the same person that I thought, like the same, he ain't better than anybody else. And she's like, you're proving my point, you idiot. Like, that she's not saying that, but I mean, like, she's not saying it that way. But everybody who's listening is like, you're an idiot. You're proving her point.
But that's how he gets to have so many kids with so many people is because he manipulates people into thinking that he is serious about them. But in actuality, he's not.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's getting what he wants. And I guess for some of the women, because I can't even say every woman that he has children with is a long-term relationship, right? Like,
no, I feel like they're just like, hey,
you want to hook up? Right.
You all right, and you got money, so you can take care of me and the baby.
But that's what I was going to say. So I think that some of it is both people are getting what they want, right? He's getting what he wants in regards to being with them. But then they're getting what they want because they're getting a child by Nick Cannon. So therefore they know they'll be paid for life. So there's a rub to some of that stuff too. But yeah, the kids are not getting to spend that time with their parents as they should. And that's unfortunate.
And you know what? Somebody in the comments, actually somebody on both comments said, I feel like if you don't feel like you are breaking up homes, then daddy should have all the kids all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And then see how that is.
That's not going to work.
And then now you'll see how the broken home is because the child is always with the mother. 90% of the time, the child is with the mother. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to say 90%, but most of the time, the child is with the mother and the dad comes to visit.
Yep.
There's not the same standards for fathers that there is for mothers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she goes into all of that. So I will definitely
we need to have more on that. That's deep. I like that.
But it's really deep, and like you can listen to the podcast. They're on all platforms. You can find it on YouTube, so you can see them actually sitting down talking.
Okay, awesome. I look forward to hearing more about that next week. I did want to say really quickly, don't forget the Paralympics. It is going on August 28th through September 8th. So try to give the Paralympics the same attention that we gave to the other Olympics. I don't know what they call it, just the Olympics, I guess. Yeah. And so it's still in Paris. It is things like wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby, wheelchair tennis and fencing. You have swimming, taekwondo, which taekwondo sold out. They have no tickets left for taekwondo.
I can understand that. I would definitely want to see taekwondo.
You have triathlon, table tennis, volleyball. You have shooting. You have powerlifting, rowing, judo, football, which is football, which is soccer, equestrian, canoe, cycling, badminton, archery, all of that.
You know what's so awesome? When they have the blind racing, that is amazing because you have to have somebody who's training you who can run as fast as you and tell you, all right, run. All right, stop. All right, to the left, to the left. All right, to the right, to the right, to the right. All right, you're straight. Keep going straight. All right, to the left. What?
It's kind of like the same as when you are doing like a half marathon and you're with a pacer.
Yeah,
exactly. And you're with a trainer that they're ahead of you or they're pacing you. Like, we're going to stay on this track to help you get to what your goal is. So that's awesome.
It's wild. So I'm definitely into watching all of that.
Yeah, so check it out.
And then also the Paralympics is everything. So one thing that I've noticed is like the Paralympics could be if you have autism, but you are a 6'4" black man that is brolic. Mm-hmm. And you want to go ahead and run the 200 hurdles or whatever, but you're also running against people from other countries that have more disabilities than you. So it's like, it's not really matched up.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be disability for disability. So it's not like all the blind people over here and all the people with autism over here and all the people who, So it's no.
So that's what's wild about it. But I've already saw some of the races that I watched some of the track races, and I was like, yo, these people is getting it. Like, they are getting it better than some of the United States original Olympics teams. So.
Well, just to let y'all know right now, Italy is in the lead with 9 medals, 2 gold, 2 silver, and 5 bronze. So just as an FYI there. So, and the races literally just started. So check it out. That's all I had.
Yeah, all right.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to us on Sestra-Tainment. Have an amazing week. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. Enjoy the holiday.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's a
just
holiday.
be safe. Don't drink and
Enjoy
drive.
your extra day off.
Enjoy, hopefully, your extra day off, because we
just
know people in retail
take a
don't
nap.
always get the extra day off.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Or parents don't get the extra day off because the kids are at home.
Facts.
Yeah.
But enjoy it. Don't drink and drive. Be safe out on the streets.
Absolutely.
And everybody take care.
Bye.
Bye.